many of you in the fourth marking period were doing Zoom calls and you had your video set up and you found yourself looking something like this, like you were hiding your identity in a true crime show or something like that? Well, that's because you were making just a couple pretty easy mistakes with how you had your camera set up. And for this video, what we're going to focus on is how to avoid mistakes like this. We're going to focus on how to make good quality video that not only looks good, but also sounds good for whatever videos you're making for your students. That way, you don't look like some, serial killer trying to hide their identity. All right, let's go. So today we're going to be focusing on recording with 3 different devices. We're either going to be looking at recording on a phone, smartphone, particularly a tablet like an iPad, or a laptop like one that we all have issued through our schools. Generally, I would say that is the order in which you want to use your devices. Your smartphone, assuming you have one, if it was made within the last couple of years, probably has a better camera than your tablet, and it definitely will have a better camera than your laptop. If you don't have a smartphone or your phone's maybe 5+ years old and doesn't have a great camera, a tablet would have a pretty decent camera. If those are not options for you, then you could use your school laptop. Either way, everything that we talk about today is pretty much going to apply to all of these devices. Now first, let's talk about shot setup. When you are deciding how to set up your shot, you want to take a couple things into consideration. First thing is going to be just where are you putting the camera? Now, I would say generally just to make it look better, you want to avoid kind of like blank walls. If you're going to go with a blank wall, you don't necessarily want to go with something that has kind of like a tan or a white, because your camera, the way that it captures the light, is probably going to make the wall look kind of fuzzy, and it's just not going to look great, right? But a background like a bookshelf or something, that's a pretty simple, easy thing to go with, right? And that's why we see a lot of people being interviewed in front of bookcases. It makes you look smart, it's interesting, but it's not distracting as well. Now with that, if you're gonna have some stuff in the background, this is just a little personal anecdote. It is very important that you take stock of everything that is in the background of your shots. What you don't want is, for example, to be recording for about an hour videos for your classes and then discover that you have a Bud Light beer koozie in the background of all of your videos. That happened to me during the fourth marking period, and it meant that I had wasted an hour, hour and a half of time because I had to go back and re-record everything, because obviously I can't have this in the background of something I'm putting up for my students. So making sure whatever's in your background is school appropriate. It's a simple thing to kind of forget because we just have stuff in our house, right? But just keep that in mind. You want to make sure everything in the background of your shot is school appropriate. So when you are recording your videos, if you're using a phone, which again I recommend going with, something that you're going to want to get is a tripod. You can buy one of these tripods online for like $12. And when you set up your tripod, obviously it's going to stabilize your footage. But one thing you're going to want to do also is make sure that everything is up high enough. You can see my setup right now. I have it on a table, on top of a chessboard, on top of 2 cookbooks. Now, I figured out that I had to have it up that high because I did a couple of test shots first. So I started recording the video, came around and sat down, as you can see. Now, the first couple, as you can see, did not work out quite so well. It was cutting off my head, or there wasn't enough headroom or anything like that. So I did a couple of test shots first. It only took me a minute to do that until I had what my setup was, but it makes the videos look a whole lot better. Now, if you don't have a tripod and you don't feel like getting one, and you have someone who lives with you, you could get a spouse to record you, like I am right now, right? Something like that works just fine. Now, if you do that, make sure that they have nice, steady hands. And if you're going to be doing a freehand recording, I would recommend not having your shots last a super long time, because eventually camera's going to start shaking around, and we don't want that.
Ooh, hey, I realize I almost forgot to say this. When you are using a phone or your tablet, do not use the zoom function to get closer. set up the camera wherever it needs to be, zoomed all the way out, and then just set it up as you need it, right? The zoom function, I hate it on all cameras, just my own personal feeling about things. It can work for certain type of shots that you're trying to get, but for what we're doing, we're not doing anything fancy, so we just want to set the camera up as close as we can. The reason we don't want to use the zoom is that it's going to actually make the image pixelated and blurry and gross. So just set it up where it has to be. It might be super close to you. That's fine. Anyways, back to the regular video.
Another thing for shot composition that we always want to keep in mind is that we want to record horizontally. We never want to record vertically. See, everything that we post is probably going to be posted to YouTube or something like that, and their players are horizontal. So we don't want to be putting vertical video. That's when you get those weird black bars on the side. So if you're recording with your camera, you don't want to record like this. You want to tip it sideways and record like this. Same thing goes for an iPad. You don't want to record like this. You want to record like this. With a laptop, it's already set up to record horizontally, so you're not going to have to make any changes there. Just don't put your laptop on its side, because that would be insane. Last thing with shot setup is lighting. Now, at the beginning of the video, you saw that I was completely silhouetted, right? And that's because the light was coming from behind me. I was sitting right in front of the doors to my deck, and it's a beautiful day outside, right? And our instinct might be, well, the sunlight is so lovely, right? We can get that sunlight in the shot. And while that is, yes, a good idea, when we're dealing with this type of camera, which we are with either the phone, the laptops, the iPads, anything, they are good, but cameras require light, right? And they especially like the source that they are recording to be lit. Now, the light from outdoors, if we're recording in front of a window, is all coming from behind the source or the subject, right? The camera does not do a great job of figuring out that there's more light in the room, so that's why the subject looks like they are completely silhouetted. So whenever you are recording, it is absolutely essential that you have a light source in front of you, behind the camera, in front of you. It does not have to be a crazy light source. In my room right now, all I have is one light turned on, and then I have a window right next to me giving me some light on the side. And as you can tell, this is plenty of lighting. All right, let's talk about angles. This is very important for shot composition. You'll see right now that I have pretty much just a straight on angle. Nothing fancy, and honestly, that's all you really have to do. Now, were I to, for example, take away my cookbooks and my chessboard, you'd see I get a much different angle. So that's clearly not a great angle. But what if maybe I tilt the camera up a little bit? That's a little better, but it's not great, right? Once we start getting to these low angles, you start kind of giving off a weird, intimidating vibe, and well, that's not what we're going for. Yeah, we're the authority in the classroom, but we're not a dictator, we're not a tyrant or anything like that. So we don't want to appear to be this like high and mighty grand, beast or something like that. Now, I could hold my tripod down and just look down at my camera from here, but again, I'm getting a very weird angle, right? One, you're seeing right up my nose, which gross. And also, again, this is a power angle, right? When you see movies, the big, powerful villains are always filmed from the ground up. It makes them look bigger and imposing. We don't want to do that. We're not trying to threaten our students, especially if we're going to be starting off the school year online. This online video is going to be the first introduction they have to us. It's important to make a good one. We don't want to appear to be all imposing. We also don't want to have the camera up here like this. This makes us look small. This makes us look weak. We don't want that either, right? These are small things, but when it comes to this type of visual medium, the angle tells a story, right? We want to be more in line with our students, right? So the camera should be in line with us. Let's talk about audio. How do we make this sound good? This is why, again, I'm recommending you use a smartphone for all of your recordings. The microphone built into your phone is way better than any microphone built into pretty much any laptop or desktop computer that there is. They don't have good microphones. So you can make all the video look great and beautiful and whatnot, and you're still gonna get pretty lousy audio quality. And that is a big piece of making a good, engaging video, right? It's not just a visual medium, it is an auditory medium as well, and we need to pay attention to that. So I would definitely recommend using your smartphone. Now, if you are maybe a little more tech savvy, like I tend to think I am, when I'm recording, if I'm recording on my laptop, I will use a microphone. This is a basic Alesis podcasting microphone. Something like this will cost you anywhere in the ballpark of $25 to $50. It's good audio quality. It's not like recording studio, Hollywood quality recording, but it's good and it will get the job done. We'll kind of come back to this when it comes to doing screen recording, or if you're narrating a PowerPoint or something like that. Something like this could be pretty helpful. Now, the other thing with audio is, hey, you're all teachers, right? Yeah, you're all teachers. I know you have a teacher voice. So don't just talk like this, right? This might be how you talk to your spouse or partner or friends or something like that, just having a nice conversation. But when we're teaching, we use our teaching voices. You're supporting your voice from the diaphragm, right? You're not yelling, you're not screaming, right? But you are projecting your voice. That's important because yes, the microphones on these cameras or on these phones are good, but they're not amazing. So it's very important that we project as well. Now with that, you might want to avoid recording outdoors unless you have to for some reason, or if you live in a very quiet neighborhood or something like that. But wind and stuff like that's gonna be really hard to fight with your voice. So indoors, it's a bit more of a controlled environment, so it might be safer that way. All right, so those are the basics for making a video look and sound good. It's fairly simple, might seem a little complicated at first, but do it a couple of times. It'll make sense, I promise. And it's going to make a big difference for how your students are going to engage with your videos. Remember, our students have grown up seeing pretty high quality film and video everywhere. I mean, YouTube has movie quality stuff nowadays. So it is important that we provide good quality video. Now, up next for this whole PD thing, we're going to talk about how you get these video files off of your device onto your computer, and then how you edit the files and then upload the files. So once you're ready, you can move on to the next video.